Sports. I'm Jake.
And I'm Zach. And now that every NFL team has played 8 games, we're doing our midseason awards and who we predict is going to win it at the end of the year. So first off, we're going to do MVP. So we each had 3 nominees that we predicted or would be in the running for MVP, most valuable player. So first off, Jake, why don't you start?
All right. Well, obviously you always have to have Peyton Manning in the running. I also had Ahmad Bradshaw on the Giants because he's been pretty invaluable to them. But my MVP candidate for this year is going to be Rashard Mendenhall. He started out the season very well. He had 311 yards for the first 4 games without Ben Roethlisberger, and they won their first 3. Pittsburgh is one of the best teams in the league right now, and that's largely due to their defense and their rushing game. And Mendenhall is really their only running back. So therefore, I'm going to give it to Rashard Mendenhall. Second in touchdowns for rushing, Mendenhall's my MVP.
Okay, now my nominees differ a little bit. I'm going to take Peyton Manning, Clay Matthews, and Darren McFadden. And my choice for MVP is going to be Darren McFadden. So, I mean, without Darren McFadden, that offense has nobody. He has 999 yards from scrimmage, 5.4 yards per carry, and he's just been invaluable to that team.
And the Raiders are second in rushing, and
they're 5-4 and on a 3-game winning streak. So without him, I don't see them doing any of what they've done this year.
All right, now moving on to Defensive Player of the Year. We both nominated Gerard Mayo, leading tackler in the league, linebacker on the Patriots, and then I have Aqib Talib because he's had some key picks for the Buccaneers.
And I have Osi Umenyiora because he has 7 forced fumbles, 8.5 sacks. That Giants D has been insane this year.
But our Defensive Player of the Year for both of us is going to be Clay Matthews on the Packers. You got to take him. He's got 10.5 sacks. He's the anchor of that defense, and since their offense is struggling, Clay Matthews is really the reason that the Packers are still in contention for the playoffs.
I mean, last year the Packers were known for their offense, Rodgers, Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, but this year, their defense has had to step it up to keep them in games. I mean, they're still winning, but, their defense has really stepped up, and Clay Matthews has been, the mainstay on that defense. He's been the leader. So, look for him this year to win Defensive Player of the Year.
Next category. Offensive
Player of the Year. All right, so for this one, we both took Arian Foster, running back on the Texans, and the other two differ a little bit. I chose McFadden and Rivers, and he had Rivers and Roddy White, receiver on the Falcons.
But in the end, my Offensive Player of the Year, is going to be Arian Foster on the Texans. He leads the league in rushing with 864 yards. He's got 315 receiving yards, and he's got 9 touchdowns. And before this, the Texans were nothing but a passing attack, and with Foster, they've become a very balanced offense, and he came out of nowhere this year, and I like him for Offensive Player of the Year.
Okay, well, on the other hand, I was leaning towards McFadden, but in the end, I chose Phillip Rivers. I mean, he has 19 touchdowns through 8 games. He has 2,944 yards and 327 yards per game. I mean, that's inhuman at this point.
He's on pace to break Marino's record. Definitely.
There's no one even close in the rankings right now to him. He's the number 1 passer in the league, over Peyton Manning, over Drew Brees, over Tom Brady. Yeah. So look for him to win Offensive Player of the Year this year.
Next, we have Defensive Rookie of the Year. And we both decided to go with Ndamukong Suh on the Lions. Number 2 overall pick in the draft. He's got 6.5 sacks. He's just been amazing. He has a fumble recovery. For a touchdown, he's got an interception.
I mean, the Lions D has been terrible up till this year. I mean, they had no one to look for. They had Ernie Sims, but traded him to Philly. So now, Suh has brought that. Their run defense is, staunch. They've been great this year.
He's changed the face of that Lions defense.
Yeah.
All right, Offensive Rookie of the Year.
All right, Offensive Rookie of the Year. We both decided on Sam Bradford. As a rookie QB, it's hard to come in and start from game 1. And that team had the first overall pick last year, so they weren't good. But he stepped in and was mature. He's performed well, and there's really no one that's handled their role better than Bradford has this year.
Kind of reminds me of Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco from a couple of years ago, actually. I also had Des Bryant and Mike Wallace as nominees, but really in terms of what they've done for their teams coming in, they can't really measure up to Sam Bradford. So next, we're going to go to an interesting category, our Unsung Hero of the Year. Why don't you go with this one?
All right, well, the unsung hero, I decided to choose Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, running back for the Patriots, New England Patriots. And, that's a one-dimensional offense, or has been, a passing offense. They've always been known for the passing with Tom Brady, Randy Moss, who they lost, but, they still got good receivers there, Wes Welker. But Ben Jarvis Green Ellis has added a running game to their offense, and this year he's been good. So, he's going to be my unsung hero this year.
Yeah. My unsung hero is Josh Freeman, the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Might be an interesting pick to some of you. His stats aren't flashy, but on the other hand, Josh Freeman, without him, the Bucs would not have this pretty surprising record that they have. They've won 5 games. No one expected them to even win 5 games this season. And here's Josh Freeman, and he led 4 fourth-quarter comebacks so far this year. So 4 of their 5 wins are really mostly due to Josh Freeman, and I have to take him for my unsung hero of the year.
All right, and then next we have breakout player of the year. So, Jake, who did you take for this one?
All right, well, I took your MVP. I took Darren McFadden. Darren McFadden, like you said, 999 yards from scrimmage, 5.4 yards a carry. And before this, he was the number 4 pick. He was the number 4 overall pick in the draft a couple years ago. He did nothing, and now suddenly everyone was calling him a bust. And suddenly he's just broken out, and he's one of the best rushers in the league. I love Darren McFadden right now.
Yeah, I can see that. But I'm going to take Brandon Lloyd, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. I mean, this guy's 30 years old. He's been in the league for 9 years. And, he has 878 yards this year so far through 8 games. He has 4 touchdowns, 20.9 yards per catch. The team hasn't been good overall, but he's stepped up. He's leading the league in receiving right now. And I don't see anyone that's broken out more than him. Last year he had 117 yards receiving.
I like that pick. And lastly, we come to our comeback player of the year, and I really don't think any of our viewers or us can disagree with our pick for comeback player of the year, which is
Michael Vick. That's hands down Michael Vick.
Hide your dogs.
I think that if he had started, I'm sure that if he had started every game this year for the Eagles, they would be 6-2 right now at least, and he would be in the MVP running right now.
Oh, absolutely. Michael Vick has yet to throw. He has yet to throw an interception. He's only started in 4 games, and he has over 1,000 yards passing. He has a couple hundred yards rushing.
He's the most explosive quarterback, hands down, and I'd say the most feared quarterback right now.
Absolutely.
To play against.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for our edition of JZ Sports. I'm Jake.
And I'm Zach, and we'll see you next week.